If you want to make a Gantt chart, you can make it in any spreadsheet program. So if I go new Google Sheets, I can make a blank spreadsheet. So if I called this my independent project Gantt chart, project Gantt chart, you would name it the name of your project. We're going to go ahead and, depending on how many details we want, we would probably put task. And then week 1. Week 2. Now, if you want to get more specific, week 3. And week 4. How long do you have this? About 5.5 weeks, but don't plan for that. You guys always know that things take at least a week longer, right? And when are we doing this project? February. And what happens in February? Snow. Well, Valentine's as well. And my birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thanks. Don't make me turn in like college recommendations on your birthday or on my birthday. Please have them in before February 15th. All right. So if I said person 1, person 2, and I've got a couple ways I could do this. Actually, I don't want to do that. I want to do task. What am I making? Am I making a game, a movie, an animation? A game. Okay. So I probably need someone to make the background or level creation. I probably need someone to make the main character. I probably need someone to maybe rig, texture and rig, right? And if I have a secondary character, maybe I want someone to model bad guys. And maybe I want texture and rig bad guys. I guess character's probably a bad name. I might want to call them protagonist. And notice I have this broken apart. I could say one person creates the whole character. But some of you are better at modeling and some of you are better at weight painting. And so don't think you need to say one person do all the characters. Like if one of you is awesome at modeling, you could model everything and then give it to someone else who maybe is better at texturing. So think about how you could break this apart. And if you're like, I don't know. But I have noticed that most students who are very good at modeling tend to kind of want to stick in that zone. So sometimes that is a good thing to break apart anyway. Now, if you're like, no, I saw your schedule and I absolutely want to change it. This is not 100% final. If your group gets in and says, oh, why don't we do it this way? You can always make adjustments. But if you go in with no game plan and say, hey, everyone, let's figure this out, that can totally be a pain. So if you were doing a 2D, you might say like person draws first scene, one person draws second scene, whatever. We might want someone to code game. Might need someone to play test. And maybe we want someone to get the music and sound effects. And maybe we want one person to compile, to put it all together. I guess we can say, put it. And that's usually going to be like your main art person puts it together. Compile is a good word, but sometimes coders can think it's compiling. And let's say I decided I needed 4 people for this. Person 1, person 2, person 3, and person 4. What I normally do is I assign them each a color. So I go to highlight, and maybe person 1 is going to be, I don't know, blue. And person 2 will be purple. And person 3 will be green. And person 4 will be what color? I don't know. How about fuchsia? That's disgusting. Let's do it. All right. So maybe person 1 is my modeler. And do you need to know who person 1 is? Absolutely not. What you're doing is advertising potential jobs in your video. or in your project so that people can choose to do your project. So don't go ahead and necessarily say, oh, I want to write this position for my friend Chris, and Chris is the only one that will do it. So if I said, oh, okay, I want this person to model the main protagonist, and then the next week I want them to model the main bad guy, I would put person 1, I think that was the color, right? Here, and then the next week I would have them model the main bad guy. And then maybe the third week I will have them honestly modify whatever has happened that I found because my character is not moving right or whatever. Oh, I did text color. I apologize. And then I'll let them play test it. Oh, I keep doing that. I apologize. As I said, I would have taken off if I wasn't feeling so great. So person 1 really isn't going to texture or rig anyone because we don't have it yet. Or person 2. So I'll go ahead and say person 2 gets to do that here. And they will rig these characters for 2 weeks because first they'll do the person, then they'll do the bad guys. And then after, oopsie. Boop-a-doop. And then we'll say, okay. This is the hardest part, is remembering where the highlight color is. And then maybe this is the person I have putting it together for the last part. So maybe this person I have write code really for 3 weeks or 4 weeks. Person green, they're just going to be our coder. They're going to live in code land. We can also let them play test their code a little by putting in some blocks and such like that. Week 2. And person 3, they're going to go on level creation for the first 2 weeks. And then after this, we'll let them play test. Notice I'm not having the same person play test the whole time, because I want some different opinions. And I'll have them go on music and sound effects for anything we missed. I never gave a role to that person 2 in the beginning, so I'll have them gather music and sound effects in the beginning. And then so that way I can make sure that everyone has a task each week. And then I will make a rubric so the person has 20 points where they are assigned that. And on that rubric I would say model main protagonist instead of model character, because that way they know that they're doing the protagonist the first week and then the bad guys the second week. You want to be really clear so no one gets confused. Now, maybe you had some concept art, but your concept art was rough. And so maybe you've recruited someone and say, I really need someone awesome to draw my concept art. And let's say person 2 is really good at concept art. They can look for music, and maybe they do give you some more concept art for your characters on this day too. So if you know that your drawings are all awesome and your concept art's going to be great, or at least all like satisfactory, and your concept art will show what you want, you could go ahead and put that in the beginning and then not have concept art here. But if you know you might need help with concept art, or you want to make the protagonist, you're not as good at villains, and you want to give people the chance to make the villains, you could put that as makes villain concept art for the first week. So work to your strengths and also bring in other people whose strengths are different than yours. Does that make sense? So that's how you do a Gantt chart. Do I need to show any more examples, or are we pretty darn, like, that makes sense? Cool. Sorry we haven't done one.